What's going on, everybody? My name is Drew and I like to draw cartoons. And with today's video, we are going to be continuing the challenge of drawing myself in 100 different cartoon styles. This is my third long form video explaining the process of drawing myself in all these different cartoon styles. And today we'll be talking about parts 1 through 50. I made two previous videos talking about styles 1 through 30 in two different videos. And today we'll be talking about all of them all in one. You'll get to see everything that I was talking about from parts 1 through 30 and everything I'll be talking about today, explaining parts 31 through 50. Now, there is something I want to talk about real quick. In my last video, someone did say I don't show the drawings long enough on screen. I do apologize for that. It's just an editing thing on my end. If you guys do want to see these drawings for a longer period of time, feel free to pause the video as I go along. Another great way to look at it is going on my Instagram. Basically, every drawing you'll see on this channel goes on my Instagram as well. So you can also get a better look at it on there as well. I'm also nearing like 10,000 followers on Instagram at like 8,700. So once I hit that, also once I hit like 50K on here as well, I want to do some kind of giveaway or some really fun celebration. So make sure you're subscribing, make sure you're following me on all these different socials so you can be in the loop when I do some of these fun things when I reach these different milestones. And speaking of milestones, we are now over halfway through this 100 style challenge. It's crazy, we're already over 50 styles. I've now drawn myself in more different cartoon styles than I have any other subject in all of my time doing this on social media. I'm so excited to see all of these in continuous throughout one video. I will say, since there's 50 I need to talk about, there's a lot that I talk about. You'll notice throughout the video when we get to the 30 through 50, some of the descriptions are pretty brief. I mean, there's only so many ways to describe how to draw one person in different cartoon styles. So in this video, when you see parts 31 through 50, as I talked about, when you see they're going to be kind of brief, I'm going to try to talk about these as fast as I can because I don't have a ton of time when shooting these videos. So again, like I mentioned before, make sure to pause if you want to see these drawings a little bit longer. And I'm going to be doing some brief descriptions on how I got there, what inspired me to make this, and I'll show some reference photos as well to the show and characters for how I drew myself in these styles. But like I said, we have a ton of drawings to talk about in this video, so I figure we might as well just jump right into them. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram like I just said, follow me on TikTok, and follow me on Letterboxd as well. So before I get into the new drawings, we're going to show everything from my previous videos where I talk about parts 1 through 30, and we're going to go to those right now. The first of 15 styles we'll be talking about here, and the first of the 100 style challenge is Family Guy. Family Guy is a style that I've done I've probably done hundreds of characters in this style at this point. Drawing myself was going to be fun, and I knew where I needed to start. With Family Guy, I could either make the choice to have my glasses and then the circular eyes that you always see with Family Guy characters under the glasses, kind of similar to Meg, but with the shape of my glasses, I figured I would just have my glasses be doubling as my glasses and basically the outline for my eyes. That way my pupils will be inside and that'll be it. And then with Family Guy characters as well, one thing I've always noticed is that when designing the whole facial structure of face and neck, you'll have the line work of the neck here below from the ear, and then you'll start under the eye to go into the cheek and then into the jaw and chin area, but then it will cut off at the chin. There won't be any line work connecting the neck to the chin. There are some exceptions to it, like Tom Tucker, and then I think Ryan Reynolds has a character that looks similar to it as well, but that's overall the general uniform style. And then the line work for the lip is going to be basically like you'll see a little smile, and then it'll have a curved line at the top, at the bottom to represent my top and bottom lip that you'll see right here in the finished product of myself in the Family Guy style, the first style of 100 to come. And now the next style we'll be talking about is Loud House, another style that I love to do and that I've been doing a lot more of lately. Loud House is going to be basically the same thing. My glasses will serve as my glasses and as my eyes, and you'll see the pupils on the inside. And one thing I do love about the Loud House is the way they use lines for shading and shadowing that you'll see in my hair and then under my chin as well for extra shadowing and shading that you'll see right here in the finished product of myself in the Loud House style. And the next style we're talking about is The Simpsons, another style I absolutely adore. One of the most unique cartoon styles that I always love to do with the yellow skin. And this is also similar with Futurama, that I always notice that if they're looking off to the side like this, the cheek is going to start from their eye, and then it's going to go, instead of into their like jaw and chin, it's going to go right into their upper lip, and then it'll go down, and there won't really be a predominant chin. Sometimes there are exceptions to that, but it typically just goes into the bottom lip and then right into the neck. So you'll see that with mine, and it will be the same thing with my glasses and my eyes as the previous three that you'll see right here in the finished product of myself in the Simpsons style. And the next style we'll be talking about here is a little bit more of an obscure suggestion that I took, and that is Codename Kids Next Door. Now in my head, I kind of call this like the Stewie Griffin character design because they all kind of have football-shaped heads. Number one has a very, very thin and skinny football-shaped head, but the rest of them still overall have very ovular shaped heads. So that's usually where I like to start. They have the ovular shaped heads. They have big ears on the side, and then they usually will have a little line to represent like their cheek whenever they're smiling. Those are just some little things that I like to notice with Codename Kids Next Door characters. And they typically look like they have like baggier clothes on as well. So you'll notice that with my blue shirt in the finished product that you'll see right here of myself in the Codename Kids Next Door style. And the next style we'll be talking about is a style that I talked about ad nauseum on this channel, and that is Bluey. I always adore this style and love taking human characters and converting them into the Bluey style. And I got to do it with myself for this one. So I always like to start by looking at my subject's hair color and going from there. Mine is like a brown color, so I kind of wanted to translate myself into like a chocolate lab, basically. My wife loves to call me more like a golden retriever, but I want to go more with the chocolate lab look. And usually I'll take the hair of my subject and turn it into their ears on the side as well, if that's applicable. And you'll see that for this one as well, along with my spiky hair on top. And then you'll see my glasses. And then you'll also see the oval shaped eyes under the glasses. So you see that all in this finished product right here of myself in the style of Bluey. We are now on to the sixth style, 6 of 100, and that is Rick and Morty, another style that I have done a bunch. So with Rick and Morty, it's going to look very similar overall. Compared to Family Guy, there is going to be like a full completed chin. They won't have their like disconnection from the chin to the neck like Family Guy does. They have a full chin that goes from their eye over to their ears. And then another thing about Rick and Morty that I always like to include the line work around the mouth that you'll typically see with Rick and Morty character that you'll see right here in the finished product of myself in the Rick and Morty style. Continuing right along onto the seventh style, and that is South Park. Along with Family Guy, it's probably the style that I've done the most over the years, and I absolutely love this style so much. It's so unique. The oval shaped eyes that almost look like they're leaning up against each other that you'll see with mine as well, but you'll see the glasses on top. My entire eyes are not just my glasses. You'll see the eyes under it as well. And all my other aspects with my hair and with my blue shirt that you'll see right here, myself in the South Park style. And the next style we'll be doing is Peanuts / Charlie Brown, that whole Charles Schultz style. So for this one, I could have went the route of making my glasses look kind of like Marcy's, where you just see the lenses but don't actually see the pupils under it. I decided to go against that, but it would still have the lenses of my glasses be like a lighter gray color, but you can still see my pupils under it. And then with my hair, I kind of almost based it off of Woodstock in a way, where it's just lines and then the color fits in between without there being line work to like almost like look like where you can color it in. It'll make sense when I show it. Here's myself right here in the finished product of myself in the Peanuts style. There you can see my hair is kind of not fully enclosed with line work, but it is kind of enclosed with the way that it was shaded in. So there's myself in the Charlie Brown style. Now this style is always suggested anytime I do a series basically of any kind, and that is Gravity Falls. This one was the most challenging one in terms of my glasses because these characters have two perfect circle eyes that are basically always overlapping. That's always where I start with a Gravity Falls character. So then when you look up how do you draw a character like that with glasses, they still have their eyes like this, and then the glasses just build off of that, which is very fascinating, very interesting way to kind of design a character. So I used a bunch of reference shots and turned myself into a Gravity Falls character that you'll see right here, myself in the Gravity Falls style. And the next style is Fairly Odd Parents. Now for this one, I could have gone the route of making me look more like a older character, like an adult, but I just based it off of the whole look where Timmy and the fairies all have like a D-shaped head and then an ear with a 6 in it. I just love that look. I think it's so iconic. So I went off of that and used that as the jumping off point for my character design. My glasses will serve as my glasses and my eyes. You'll see my blue pupils on the inside as well. And then these characters always have like rectangular shaped eyebrows that will have highlights on the top. So you see that in the finished product right here of myself in the Fairly Odd Parents style. Now these next three that I'm going to talk about are three of my favorites that I've done so far. And the first one I'll talk about is myself in the style of a Goofy movie. Now a Goofy movie is one of my favorite Disney animated films of all time. It's probably up there as one of my favorite anime films of all time as well. I just love the father-son dynamic and storyline with these characters and the music in it. I just adore this movie so much. And after the documentary that they released where they were showing the people who created the movie in the style of a Goofy movie, like if you've seen the documentary, you know what I'm talking about. It's awesome and it inspired me to want to draw myself in that style. So I had to go for it. Basically with a Goofy movie, you're just going to have basically very human looking features just with a big black dog nose. And then they'll have like the long floppy ears as well. And you'll see that right here in the finished product of myself in the style of a Goofy movie, one of my favorite animated films of all time. Now the next drawing is one that I did without the use of AI, and that was drawing myself in the style of Studio Ghibli. If you've been on the internet the last few weeks, you know that there's been this new AI filter where you can turn things into Studio Ghibli, and it sucks because there's no actual artist involved. Don't use AI. AI art is not art, guys, come on. But anyway, I really wanted to take a chance at drawing myself in the style of Studio Ghibli. So I looked up the actual artwork from Studio Ghibli and worked from there. Their eyes basically are going to have the line work on top and a little line on the bottom, and the big skinny ovular pupils with some highlights on that as well. They also would occasionally have their eye color in there as well, but I just went with black pupils for this, just kind of simplify it. And then also very complex in the hair design as well. And then also got to include the shadowing that you'll see right here in the finished product of myself in the style of Studio Ghibli with no AI required. Now, if you've been watching my shorts over the last month or so, I'll be doing a lot of artwork. And some of it has been making my own variants based off of certain other characters, whether it's other Invincible characters, other superheroes, or other characters in pop culture in general. So I wanted to try to do the same with me. So that is how I chose to draw myself in the Invincible style. Basically drawing myself in that style with my own Invincible suit. So I decided to go with the similar look with the goggles, but like kind of bigger goggles with straps in the middle and on the sides to represent my glasses, and then it'll be a similar Invincible style suit where it's going to have the opening in the mouth and then also the opening up here so you can see my hair. And the colors of the suit are just like similar blue to my shirt and then like a bluish gray for the other aspects of it that you'll see right here in the finished product of myself as a variant basically. Now this next one and the Charles Schultz style one are probably the most basic that I've done so far, but this next one is Adventure Time. With human characters, Adventure Time typically doesn't have a whole lot of details. Typically just black circle eyes and a smile, and that's kind of the extent of it. But if they have glasses, they're also going to have the glasses and like a light blue like sheen to the lenses as well. So that's going to be no different for mine. So you see that in the finished product right here of myself in the Adventure Time style. And the last of the 15 styles we'll talk about here in part 1 is the Phineas and Ferb style. So for this one, I kind of based myself off of the character design of Jeremy, where it's like a P-shaped from the neck over into the head. They're going to have the ear over off to the side with like the E/3 shape in it as well. And then the eyes. For this one, I'm just going to have my glasses represent my glasses and my eyes. And then for the pupils, they are typically ovular shaped and have the color of the eyes where it's like blue, like a darker blue or like a brown, and then they have a little circle inside to represent a highlight on it as well. So you see that all in this finished product right here of myself in the Phineas and Ferb style. And for part 16, the style that I did is the 2003 Clone Wars cartoon made by Genndy Tartakovsky. If I said that correctly, he's the same guy who made like Samurai Jack and some other iconic cartoons. With this one, I took a lot of inspiration from the way that Anakin's whole design looks. I'm not saying that I look like Hayden Christensen or anything, but with the way that his hair looked and the way that his face looked, I figured it was the best kind of base to go off of that with the eyes and stuff like that. And I also gave myself kind of like a Jedi robe, still following with the color scheme of my shirt, kind of the way like my Invincible variant drawing looked as well. So with that one, I went with that, and I want to add like a little blue like hint to the lenses of my glasses, almost like they're futuristic or like the futuristic like Star Wars binoculars or something like that, to make it a little more Star Warsy. So there's part 16, the 2003 Clone Wars style. And for part 17, I did the Powerpuff Girls. Every single time I do a style like this where I make the drawing look like a Powerpuff Girl, y'all get mad at me. But I don't care because I love this template so much. This template for character design is just so much fun to be able to just try to translate all these different people that I've done over the years, which is probably almost at 100 because I've done so many of them. Just making with the round head, the big eyes, and geometric shapes. I just love the way they all turned out, and it's no different with how this one turned out for me with my glasses as well and with my hair. So there's part 17 for Powerpuff Girls. No matter how much y'all complain, I'm never going to stop doing it like this. And now on to part 18 is Bob's Burgers. I'm honestly surprised it took me this long to get to this style, but this style is so much fun. More often than not, it's going to be just like them staring straight on you, kind of similar to South Park, but it's got smaller eyes, smaller ovular eyes that are spaced out, just kind of a basic like half circle nose, and typically pretty wide mouths. That's basically how most characters looked in all the references that I looked at. And I feel like this kind of exemplifies the Bob's Burgers style pretty well. So there's myself in the Bob's Burgers style. And up next now at part 19, I have Big Mouth. This is a show that is celebrating its final season. It's kind of having a big send-off moment. I'm seeing it all over my For You page at the moment. I used to watch it a lot. I really fell off over the years. But I do love the whole character design for this. I find it very unique because of the way that they actually include character lips. That's one thing that I noticed about the style pretty much, is that it's kind of similar to The Simpsons, except you actually see the character's lips, because the line work will go from under the eye into the cheek area and then into the lips for the mouth. That's all connects right here. And you'll see that also with mine. And ironically, I used the character of Andrew, voiced by John Mulaney, as the inspiration for this because he's got glasses, so you see that very much in how mine turned out. My hair is a little bit different, but I still used how other characters' hair look in the show as inspiration for this. So there's myself in the Big Mouth style. And we are now at part 20, and part 20 is the Garfield style. a style that I love very much and I think is very, very iconic. Obviously, it's going to have the very big ovular overlapping eyes, and it's pretty basic from there on out. I use John as a big inspiration for this because he's basically the only human character template that there is for Garfield, especially like the classic Garfield. Even though he doesn't really have a nose in some of the classic cartoons, I still added a nose for myself. I still kind of base my upper body and shoulders on John's look as well. And then you also notice that my glasses are completely separate from my eyes. You'll see later on where my glasses are basically representations of my eyes. That's kind of the difference between certain cartoon styles, and that was the difference with Garfield. So there is myself in the Garfield style. And now we're into part 21, which is the SpongeBob style. Such an iconic cartoon style. And instead of just drawing myself as SpongeBob or as like handsome Squidward, which I love to do also, I basically made myself like a fish character, a basic fish character. There are a lot of different routes you could take with a fish character. With glasses, it was a little bit difficult because not really many of them wear glasses unless they're like very old. So I basically just went off the basic template, making my glasses basically my eyes, like I just mentioned. That's going to be certain things that are different between each style. And then I chose the orange color scheme just because it kind of matches my hair. Orange and brown kind of goes together pretty well. So I got like orange skin, the yellow lips, and then my hair is represented with the fins. So there's myself in the SpongeBob style. And the next style is Dog Man. It's definitely more based on the children's book version rather than like the movie version. For this one, you'll see my glasses a part of it, and then also the long rectangular pupils of the Dog Man characters. You'll see I don't have any ears because Dog Man humans don't have ears. And then the hair is kind of a similar style to like a Peanuts style, where it's just kind of a lot of jagged lines that are all colored in. And then obviously the arms are very interesting because they're just straight out like that, straight lines. And then they just have three fingers on them. They don't have four like other cartoon characters. They don't have five like actual people. They only have three. So that's one thing I noticed about the style as well. So there's myself in the Dog Man style. And then up next is the Smiling Friends style. Obviously, you'll see from the finished product already, it's not that different. It's just taking Pim, which I think is probably the most fun character design out of these characters, just because I love his eyes. I love the crazy circular eye, the crazy squiggle circle eyes. I just love that so much. So basically took Pim, put glasses on him, added my hair, changed the color shirt, and then that's what you get right there. I don't really know what else to do for Smiling Friends style other than just taking the crazy look of the characters and turning them into different characters. If you have other suggestions for that, let me know, but I have more fun doing that. So there's myself in the Smiling Friends style. And we are now at part 24, and for part 24, I have Lego. You could argue this is not really cartoon style, but there are Lego cartoons, so it's close enough. Plus, I just love drawing things as Lego minifigures. I love Lego minifigures. I collect Legos. I love Lego so much. This was a fun one to try to do. Turn myself into a Lego minifigure. So with Lego, obviously they're going to have like the circular square heads and the square like trapezoid shaped bodies with the arms on the side. And I also do my best to try to make it look kind of like the plastic with like the sheen on them, the shininess on them, trying to make it look like a plastic minifigure. So there's myself in the Lego style for part 24. We're now at part 25, and this is certainly one of the most unique cartoon styles, and that is Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I definitely just took more inspiration from the way that they look in the book. I love this character design. It is very, very unique, so I just took a lot of inspiration by just Googling Diary of a Wimpy Kid characters with glasses, Diary of a Wimpy Kid characters with like spiky hair, something that's similar to mine. And I basically took all those aspects that I found online and combined it into this drawing right here of myself in the Diary of a Wimpy Kid style. And the next style is the Total Drama Island style. This is a style that I get suggested a lot. I don't necessarily think I have mastered it quite yet, but I still actually really enjoy it. It's always a challenge because I just basically look at every single character and use that as reference for little things, whether it's like the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the hair. The characters are very like geometric, if you know what I mean. Like if you look at my chin, it's very pointed. It's kind of square. That's something I noticed about characters. Their shoulders are always pretty square, but there's myself in the Total Drama Island style. And the next style I have up here is Regular Show. Now, I'm sure some of you could look at this and literally just say this is Gravity Falls. But Regular Show and Gravity Falls are very similar because they have the perfect circle eyes that are overlapping each other. That is the main thing about Gravity Falls and Regular Show that I personally recognize. But one thing I do recognize that's a little bit different is that the pupils are smaller. They're like very, very tiny for Regular Show. Their hair typically have more line work in it. So you'll notice that with mine for this one as well. And then when it comes to the mouth, the like little half circle representative of the cheek for the smile is a little bit different, and that's something that I know Regular Show characters, so I added that little half circle there to represent more of the Regular Show style for characters. So there's myself in the Regular Show style. And we are down to the final two of this update video. The next one is Beavis and Butthead, and you can already tell from this one that this one didn't take a lot of legwork on my part. Obviously, I was going to take inspiration from Beavis or Butthead in these drawings, so I took inspiration from how they look, changed the hair a little bit, added glasses over the eyes, and then changed the shirt, changed the hair color, and then you basically got this finished product right here. And the last style we'll talk about in this video, part 30, is Rugrats. The way that this one turned out is certainly one of my favorites. You can obviously look at that and say it's very heavily influenced on the look of Chucky. Obviously, he's got the glasses, he's got crazy spiky hair, so I used that as the inspiration for that. I didn't want to turn myself into like an adult character. I wanted to turn myself into like the baby template. That would be more fun for me, especially with the Rugrats style, and I personally really love how that turned out. And now we are back in present day, and the first drawing I got to talk about is the style of Cuphead, myself in the style of Cuphead, because I forgot to talk about that one in the last video. That was somewhere along the 20 to 30 range. I completely forgot to include in the last video, but there's myself in the Cuphead style. The iconic look of Cuphead, like very much like Rubber Hose, old-time cartoony style, with like the gloves and like the very like soft looks of like the chin and his hair and my hair as well. And then you also see the iconic look of the cartoon pupils, where they're the ovals with the little slits in them as well. So there's myself in the Cuphead style. Thank you to those who commented that I missed it in the last video. And now at part 31 was the Looney Tunes style. Now I love the Looney Tunes style so much. Drawing myself was a little bit of a challenge just because I'm not an animal. So what I did was kind of base myself off of the look of like Elmer Fudd. You'll see that in like my the way my face is set up and my nose. And then you also see like spikier hair, kind of more reminiscent of how the characters like Sylvester and Wile E. Coyote's hair look. That's kind of the look for that. So there's myself in the Looney Tunes style. And now at part 32, we have King of the Hill. Now, obviously you look at that and you'll see I'm very much basing my look off of the look of Hank Hill, the main character. He has glasses, and just kind of basing off of that. I also took some inspiration off the look of like Bobby Hill's like hairline. Like his hairline is not a perfect line all the way along. It's kind of like some dashes. So you'll see that on my hair as well. So there's some of the components that inspired drawing myself in the style of King of the Hill. And now at part 33 is a little bit of a deep cut, and that is the Mighty Bee. Now anyone who did grow up watching the show can clearly look at this drawing and say that I based this off of Bessie, the main character, and then her best friend, whose name is escaping me at the moment. But combining those two characters with my glasses, with my hair, and with the whole look of it is basically how I turned myself into the style of the Mighty Bee. And we are now at part 34, and part 34 was Dr. Seuss. I absolutely love the look of the Dr. Seuss style. I basically turned myself into like a Whoville character, also kind of combining the looks of like Cat in the Hat with very big upper lip and like the beat nose. That's kind of the overall look for like the Who's in the Dr. Seuss style. And they also have like very jagged line work, even like some jagged lines to show like shadowing, kind of similar to Loud House. But there's myself in the Dr. Seuss style. And up next is a show that I grew up absolutely loving, and that is Scooby-Doo, whatever iteration you want to talk about. I grew up watching What's New Scooby-Doo. I love Scooby-Doo so much. So for myself drawing that in my style, I basically base it off of Velma with my glasses with like the blue lenses. And then there's aspects of Freddy and Shaggy with my hair and with my whole look for my face and my body. So that's the components that you'll see when I drew myself in the Scooby-Doo style. And the next style is Ed, Edd n Eddy, another show that I truly loved growing up. It's just an absolutely wacky show with some wacky character design. So with this one, I kind of combined, like as I go along, you'll notice that I do just kind of look at characters and take different components from characters and see how it fits with me. So for this one, I combined aspects of Ed and Eddie, basically. Eddie has like that very big pointy upper lip, which I just absolutely love. I think is very iconic with that character. And then like the whole look of myself, I kind of based more off of Ed, but I still kind of took aspects from that and some other characters when drawing myself in the Ed, Edd n Eddy style. And the next style is kind of a cartoon style, kind of not, but I love making this one. I love this suggestion. This was the style of the Muppets. Now, you can look at this one, and if you're a fan of the Muppets, you could probably see some aspects of it that I took inspiration from. I took inspiration from Walter, the new, like, I think he was a new addition when they made the Muppets movie 2011, and took aspects of Scooter, kind of taking aspects from his, like, yarn style hair and the glasses as well. So those were the main inspiration for drawing myself in the style of the Muppets. Now, I can admit there are some styles you see in this where it's basically me taking the main character and throwing some glasses on him, throwing some hair on him, and having a blue shirt. This one is no different with the BoJack Horseman style, as you'll see here. I wanted to draw myself as a horse in the BoJack Horseman style. It only felt right. So I took the template of BoJack Horseman and wanted to make sure I had some pink on my snout too. I love the look of that. Added some glasses, added some like different mane look for it, and then added a blue shirt as well for myself in the BoJack Horseman style. And part 39 is the Flintstones, another truly classic and iconic cartoon. I love the way this one turned out. It's basically taking the template of Fred, making sure my blue shirt is kind of like cut up the way that Fred Flintstone shirt is. That's like a pelt basically in the show. Gave my shirt that whole look, and then the whole look of my head is very much reminiscent of Fred's look, with the hair just a little bit different, and then adding some glasses. And I went with the eyes more reminiscent of Barney rather than Fred, make it a little bit different and making it more myself. So there's myself in the Flintstone style. And we're now at part 40, and part 40 is the Aardman slash like Wallace and Gromit type style. I always really love the look of these characters, so this one was really fun. I took inspiration from the look of Wallace, basically, with like the perfect circle eyes that kind of are overlapping, and then he kind of has like I always call it like a bowling pin shaped head, but when he smiles it expands past, so I use that as inspiration as well. And then the way that their hair looks in the show, it's claymation, like I said, and I want to make sure it looks like they took like their little sculptor tools to add aspects of hair. So you'll see that for myself in the style of Aardman slash Wallace and Gromit. And the next style is The Amazing World of Gumball. Not really much to say about this one. Basically taking Gumball, adding glasses, changing the color of my shirt, and then adding some longer hair for myself in the style of Amazing World of Gumball. And the next style, part 42, is Danny Phantom. This one was really fun. I love the style of Danny Phantom. I love Butch Hartman's whole character design. So I based myself off of Danny in some ways, changing the hair but still having like the spiky aspects to it. And one thing about Danny Phantom is they love to have a lot of highlights. Highlights in the hair, highlights on their shoulders, highlights on their skin. So that's one thing I want to make sure I included when drawing myself in the style of Danny Phantom. And the next style is Avatar: The Last Airbender, a show that I just am so ashamed to say I've never seen. I've heard nothing but incredible things. I really need to get around to watching it one day. A lot of my look was inspired by the look of Aang, his whole outfit, the look of his like eye design, his nose, his mouth, everything like that came from Aang, but adding some hair. Look at the way that characters with hair, like their design looks, so I went off of that. And then all of that came together when drawing myself in the style of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Now, this next one is certainly the most unique and might genuinely be my favorite out of these 50. Once I saw the suggestion, I knew I wanted to give it a try. It's a style I've never done before, and it's Red Bull commercials. If anyone has seen a Red Bull commercial, they're animated characters, you know what I'm talking about. I love this style. I hope to do it a lot more with some other characters. In my head, it looks like kind of like almost like messy, jagged line work. The line doesn't always connect. And then the coloring just looks like watercolor to me. So I want to try to include that aspect as well. I love the way it turned out. They have like their bigger noses. They have just the lines for eyes. They don't have any pupils or nothing. And I gave myself wings because Red Bull gives you wings, stuff like that. So there's myself in the style of Red Bull commercials. And at part 45, we have Sonic the Hedgehog, taking inspiration from the look of the Hedgehog characters and trying to make it myself, making it blue, adding glasses, and then also adding a W in the chest, kind of because my last name is Whipple. I want to do at least something, again, a little bit different, trying to find the little things and make it my own. So there's myself in the style of Sonic the Hedgehog. And the next style up is another kind of deep cut Nickelodeon show for anyone who's my age who grew up watching the show, and that is El Tigre. I truly loved watching the show growing up. I loved the supervillains and the hero designs in this show. It was so much fun. But for this one, I'm just drawing myself as like how Manny Ramirez, the main character, looks just in his like normal street clothes. One thing that's a little bit different with them is that their eyes are also kind of like Cuphead styles, but the slit is more on the top rather than the side. And then also in the show, Manny Ramirez has his belt with the T on it. I gave myself a belt with a W on it. Again, making some things a little bit more myself. So there's myself in the style of El Tigre. We're almost through these 50 already. The next style is Futurama. Now, Futurama, the look of Futurama, when you're taking a human character, is very much just The Simpsons with normal skin tones. Like if it's a white character, instead of yellow, they're going to be like their actual skin color. So I went off of that. And another thing about Futurama that's very iconic to me is the heads in the jars. And I want to give myself the look of myself in this Futurama style in a head in a jar. So I want to go off of that. And that's how you got this over here with myself in the style of Futurama. We're now at part 48, 3 more to go, and the next style is Big City Greens. For me, when I look at this one is very reminiscent of Gravity Falls. They were both like 2010s Disney Channel cartoon shows. So their eyes are mainly overlapping, but for mine with the glasses, they're kind of overlapping, but also still have the lenses. And then their skin is kind of like a yellow, like lime green kind of look. So that's always how I see it there. And they don't have noses. They're just eyes and mouth and then the very round shape of their heads. So that's how I got myself in the Big City Green style. And then we're now at part 49, and we have another Nicktoon that I grew up watching and adoring, My Life as a Teenage Robot. Obviously, by looking at it, it's very unique compared to the rest. I try to turn myself into a robot from that show, taking inspiration from how Jenny's like has these little propellers or whatever's on her head that's supposed to be like ponytails or something. So I want to take inspiration from that, giving stuff like that to act as my hair for this robot character. And their eyes are also like very ovular with white lines in the middle, white diagonal lines. So I use all of that, turn myself into a My Life as a Teenage Robot, or the style of My Life as a Teenage Robot. And we have made it to part 50, people. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. But for part 50, it is Calvin and Hobbes. Now this is just another iconic, like kind of comic strip style. I took a lot of inspiration from the look of Calvin. He has spiky hair, kind of like mine. So I love his whole character design with his eyes. It's just black eyes, added glasses to it. use the whole thing where there's the line work that doesn't always connect, but it still is a part of the whole aspect of the character, whether it's their hair or their arms or whatever it is. Used all that, put that all together. He also will have like blushing aspects on like his cheeks, his ears, and his noses. So I added that all up and made myself in the style of Calvin and Hobbes. So there you have it. There is parts 1 through 50 of drawing myself in 100 different cartoon styles. We're over halfway there. I've made plenty more of these since. I'll make another video updating as I get to parts like 75. We're reaching part 60 right now. I love the way the series is going, and I love the fact that we're at part 60 and I still have so many more suggestions coming from y'all and so many more ideas in my head. I love this series so much. I can't wait till we reach 100 parts. If you've been here from the start, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for the support. Keep the suggestions coming, y'all. We still have 50 styles to go. Let's keep this going. Thank y'all so much for the support. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch my videos. I very much appreciate it. Anyone who's been buying merch lately, I've been getting a lot of people buying my merch lately. I very much appreciate that as well. As always, please make sure to like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok, and follow me on Letterboxd. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day and keep on drawing.